Today we are continuing our series called Overwhelmed to Overcoming. And the title of my message today is From New Thinking to New Doing. From New Thinking to New Doing. Last week we learned that we need to always look to God and His Word when we're overwhelmed financially. Because God knew that many of us would experience worry, pressure and stress when it came to our finances. That's why the Bible talks about money and possessions more than heaven and hell combined. The Bible has 500 verses on prayer, less than 500 verses on faith, but over 2,300 verses on money and possessions. Why? It's because God knew this was an area we could get easily overwhelmed with in life. This 3-week series, it's not a giving or generosity series. It's not about the More campaign. This series is all about me as your pastor having a heavy heart as I have heard how overwhelmed some of you are financially. In 2025, our office received a record number of benevolence calls from our church family. There are people in our church struggling financially. And my heart is to equip you with tools to go from overwhelmed to overcoming in your finances. Last week, we talked about breaking the mindset or mindsets that are blocking your financial breakthrough. Because breakthrough doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your thinking. Before God grows your money, He first grows your thinking. And the next step, you must go from right thinking to right doing. And in the story that we're studying for this series, the widow woman didn't just receive new thinking, she also received new actions. Look at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord, but now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slave." In this story, the widow cries out to the prophet of God. This is very important because how we handle money is a spiritual issue. We either honor God or we dishonor God with our money. We either realize we're stewards or we deceive ourselves by thinking we're owners. God is the owner of everything, and we're called to steward what God has given us. The widow cried out to the prophet, and God responded. But what's interesting is God didn't respond with resources from heaven. The prophet of God gave her instructions, not money. God often answers our prayers with steps, not shortcuts. And a huge reason why many people don't see their financial situation change is because they want shortcuts, not steps. God breaks financial bondage one step at a time. And so let's look at the steps that God gave this widow and the steps that the widow took to go from overwhelmed to overcoming. Overwhelming to overcoming. The first step is this: take thorough inventory. Take thorough inventory. 2 Kings 4:2. Elisha replied to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" "The servant has nothing here at all," she said, "except a small jar of olive oil." What do you have in your house is an honest question that many can't answer. Now, it's obvious this lady had taken inventory because she doesn't talk in generalities. She doesn't spiritualize the question. She doesn't say, that's not important. It doesn't matter. No, she was specific about what she said, what she has. I only have a little oil. Many people miss the very first step to financial breakthrough. They never take inventory of what they have. Financial freedom begins with facts, not feelings. But when people are overwhelmed, they often avoid financial conversations, ignore financial statements. They steer clear of the facts. Many people don't face the facts because it can feel intimidating. I know this from personal experience. I told you last week that Jamie and I, we were living outside of our means. We were spending more than we were making, and so we got credit cards, and we had these 3 credit cards, and we started swiping them, and I wasn't trying to look at those statements, but I sure enough was swiping that card. But I didn't want to look. I was avoiding them. Didn't want to look at the student loan we had, car debt loan we had. Years ago, here's what I learned. I cannot fix what I refuse to face. I cannot fix what I refuse to face. And listen, this is not about shame. It's about clarity. You have to write it down. You have to write down all you have, all your assets, all you make a month, and what you spend a month. You must take inventory. You may not like what you discover. Lord knows I didn't. You may be like this widow and find out you just have a little bit of oil, but you got a whole lot of debt. But financial breakthrough always begins with knowing what you have and where you are. Proverbs 27:23. Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. See, this was an agricultural society. The money was their flocks. The writer was saying, know your financial condition. Pay careful attention to your money. And this widow's breakthrough began with knowing about her oil, not knowing about the answers. Don't underestimate figuring out what you have in your house. You have to open the statements, check online balances, list all your debts one by one. Write down the interest rates, write down the due dates, list out all your monthly expenses one by one, write down your monthly income. You must know exactly where you are financially. Number 2, invite the help of others. This widow's breakthrough would not have happened without people. She went to the prophet of God. And then the prophet of God told her to involve other people. Look at 2 Kings 4:3. Elisha said, go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. To go from overwhelmed to overcoming, she had to get other people involved. Her breakthrough did not come from isolation. It came from collaboration. Oftentimes, our breakthrough doesn't come from what God does. It comes from who God sends. God often answers our prayers for provision with the people. Isolation is the enemy of breakthrough. When the pressure rises, our instinct is to hide, avoid, and deal with it all by ourselves. A couple reasons why people hide. Number 1, people hide because of pride. They don't want to appear weak. They want to appear like they have it all together. They hide because of fear of exposure. People avoid asking for help because they're afraid someone will see their insecurity, poor decisions, and hidden struggles. They hide because of past hurt. Some of you involved other people before, and it backfired on you. Maybe you were judged. Your vulnerability was mishandled. So now you say, I'll just handle it myself. Unhealed wounds often create an isolated life. People hide because of overconfidence. People have success in one area, and it gives them an overconfidence that they can produce success in every area of life. They're overconfident, so they don't ask for help. Some hide because of shame. Shame says if they really knew me, they wouldn't like me or respect me. So people hide their struggle instead of seeking help. Shame thrives in secrecy. Proverbs 15:22, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. This widow woman's financial breakthrough came because she was willing to involve others. God often answers our prayers for provision with the people. That's what he did for Jamie and I. We realized we were completely upside down financially. More debt than we wanted to see, and we weren't sure how we could get out of it. And so I remember meeting with a good friend, one of our staff members, Josh Brown, was really good with money and living debt-free and really good with budgeting. And let me tell you, it was vulnerable. I had to get vulnerable. Felt a little insecure. Even felt a little embarrassing just showing him our spending and what we've been doing and kind of going, but you know what? We needed to get help. And so we were able to go line by line, and Josh was so good and gracious, and he was able to help us, show us where we need to cut and what we can do and how we could get a plan together. And he helped us make a plan so that we could live financially free. One of the ways we want to help you experience financial freedom is with our free financial class. We had our first one today. If you missed it, come next week. It's at 8:30 a.m. We have 5 more weeks. Jump in. It's not too late. Don't be like, well, I missed it. I'm just going to have to wait. No, go ahead. Jump in. These next 5 weeks are something that you can learn that can help you get free. Thirdly, you got to go from panic to planning. The lady was emotional. She went to the prophet crying, I'm going to lose my sons. And the prophet gave her a plan to follow. He said, okay, get a lot of jars from your neighbors and then pour a little oil, the little oil that you have, into the jars. This struggling widow quickly moved from panic to planning. Many people want the promise of freedom without following the plan that leads to freedom. They want overflow, but ignore order. They want elevation without preparation. They want God to move suddenly, but they won't move strategically. God often answers our prayers with a plan. Pastor, I don't know how to put together a plan. I'm just horrible with money. Listen to me, family. You are not bad with money. You were just never discipled in it. I got Jamie into a financial mess because we didn't listen to some of the discipleship we have, and we needed more discipleship in money. But man, I thank the Lord Jesus that we started to learn these principles that I'm teaching you. And this is one of the key principles. Proverbs 21:5. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. You need a plan. You have to identify the root of your poor financial habits. Identifying your why helps prevent repeating mistakes. You can't fix what you don't understand. Examine if debt and pressure is due to unforeseen circumstances, poor decisions, low self-esteem, a poverty mindset, emotional spending, instant gratification, comparing and competing with people, lack of financial education. Secondly, create a simple budget with categories and limits. I want to show you a budget that Jamie and I use, and we're thankful. Our financial freedom came when we joined People's Church, and we're so thankful Pastor Herbert taught on these things and invested, and others helped us. But if you'll put up the first graphic here, and I want you to know this budget list that I'm going to go over right now, it is on the People's Church app. You can actually go on the app and you can download it as a Google sheet so that you can edit it and start putting in your own numbers. But this is very similar to what Jamie and I's budget looks like. And at the top of our budget, we always tithe. We return to the Lord what belongs to him. That's where we start. Then we have offerings, miracle offering, retirement, savings, taxes, tax service, mortgage, utilities. Go to the next slide. Gas for the home, water, car payment. I mean, cars need gas. Gas for cars, car wash, car maintenance, cell phones, internet, alarm system, pest control, lawn care, home repairs, miscellaneous. You got to have a good budget. Track every single dollar. Track every expense for a month. Go to the next one. Credit card membership, auto insurance, other insurances, YouTube, your apps, your streaming services, everything. You got to start tracking every little thing. Go to the next slide. Kids' college, eating out, entertainment, games, extracurricular, gym, chiropractor, whatever your medical insurance, other insurance, counseling, haircuts, personal hygiene. Track every, go to the last one. Dry cleaning, clothes for family, gifts for friends, gifts for family, kids' birthdays, kids' allowances, dog or cat or whatever animal you have. Mom and dad getaways, just all that Christmas. And so I would encourage you, go on the People's Church app. You can literally download this as a PDF. You can print it. You can get it as a digital file. But create a simple budget with categories, limits. You can edit it and have your own limits. You have to track every expense. If you'll track every expense for a month, it's going to help you realize you got to be knowing where your money's going, okay? And then next, you got to cut out anything non-essential. Okay, not everything on that list was essential. You're like, oh, praise the Lord, Netflix was on there. I get to keep it. No. You better go in order. You better take care of that mortgage, utilities, and gas, and bills. You can't spend your way out of debt. You got to be real about wants versus needs. And then start saving extra money for emergencies. Start paying off debt from smallest to largest. Even starting with making payments of $20 a week on your debt can make a difference. And so just tackle the smallest one. Tackle that smallest debt and pay on it. And then when that debt is paid off, you then take everything you were paying towards that debt and you move it to your next smallest debt. And then you start paying that one off. And again, it may take months. May take a year. But then when that one's paid off, you then take that amount and pay it towards your next one. This is what Jamie and I did. We kept paying off each debt until we had them all paid off. And oh, let me tell you, there was some shouting and dancing in our house when we paid off that last bit of debt that we had. Here's number 4. Number 4, shut the door and focus. Look at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 4 through 5. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side. She left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. I just love these two statements of shut the door. She had to shut the door because distraction kills obedience. The widow didn't let the voices of other people's doubt and despair dictate her actions. She closed the door and focused on the next steps that God has given her. Shutting the doors is necessary so you can eliminate distractions. Some of you will never experience financial freedom and peace if you don't shut the door. Your life is full of the wrong voices, opinions, and temptations that keep derailing you. Look at Proverbs 4, verse 25 through 27. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. You got to shut the door. You got to shut the door on the constant critic. These people never celebrate you. They criticize you. If someone only points out what's wrong, they are not helping you build what's right. Shut the door. The fear spreader. Every idea and step forward is too risky and dangerous. They sound practical, but they only paralyze you with fear and stop you from taking steps forward. Shut the door. The victim mentality. Be aware of the person who makes everything someone else's fault. They rehearse problems more than they pursue solutions. When you hang around these people who blame constantly, you lose personal responsibility. You cannot build a victorious life and have a victim soundtrack playing in your mind. Shut the door. The chronic complainer. They magnify inconvenience and minimize opportunity. They drain emotional energy and they reframe every blessing as a burden. Complainers will stop you from moving forward. Shut the door. The envious friend. They subtly compete with you instead of celebrating with you. They change when you level up. They're threatened by your success. Some people will cheer for your survival, but resent your success. They're attracted to your brokenness, not to your breakthrough. Shut the door. The gossiper, if they talk about everyone else to you, they'll talk about you to everyone else. Gossipers create drama. Ain't nobody got time for that. You can't build a focused future surrounded by distracted talkers. Shut the door. You have the manipulator. They use guilt, control, or emotional pressure to keep you from progressing. Your growth threatens their control. People who punish you for growing are not safe for your future. You gotta shut the door. The spiritually negative person, they reduce faith to skepticism. They mock your biblical obedience. They question God's ability to work in your life. Some people criticize your obedience because they've made peace with their compromise. You gotta shut the door. You have to get the wrong voices out of your life to go from overwhelmed to overcoming. Number 5, consistently proceed forward. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 5 through 6. She left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." But he replied, "There is not a jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing. Listen, you got to go from revelation to responsibility. This widow didn't just hear the word of the Lord. She didn't just meditate on the word of the Lord. She didn't just speak the word of the Lord, but she actually did the word of the Lord. She went from revelation to responsibility. She took responsibility to first go to the prophet, then to go to her neighbors' homes, and then to gather jars and then shut the door and pour oil into the jar. Financial breakthrough happens when you move from knowing to doing, from talking to walking. Answered prayer often looks like responsibility. When you know better, you must do better. Well, Pastor, I'm praying about it. And you should. Prayer is powerful. Prayer is necessary. Prayer invites God into your situation. But prayer doesn't cancel responsibility. Prayer doesn't replace discipline. Prayer doesn't cancel effort. You can't pray your way out of habits you refuse to change. Revelation without responsibility will lead to frustration. Because without responsibility, you'll never experience financial freedom. You have to go from emotion to execution. This lady was very emotional, and for good reason. Her husband had died. She had so much debt that the creditors were coming to take her sons from her. But she went from emotion to execution. She went from overwhelmed to obedient. This widow didn't wait until she felt better to start doing better. She had no idea how God was going to provide for her, but she was obedient to do the next step that was right in front of her. Obedience is about what you do, not what you feel. Faith is not measured by your feelings, it's measured by your follow through. Proverbs 21:5, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. You must put in the hard work. There's no shortcuts to financial freedom, but you can do this, church. One step at a time. The widow, she took one jar and she poured the oil. And then she took another jar and she poured the oil. And then she took another jar and she poured the oil. Financial breakthrough comes incrementally, not instantaneously. God multiplies what you pour consistently, not occasionally. You have to consistently pour the oil you have, and you have to keep pouring. Going to the financial class is pouring oil into the jar. Talking through your inventory is pouring oil into the jar. Inviting the help of others is pouring oil into the jar. Writing out all your income and expenses is pouring oil into the jar. Getting on a strict budget is pouring oil into the jar. Cutting unnecessary spending is pouring oil into the jar. Making payments to pay off debt, the smallest debt is pouring oil into the jar. Shutting the door on the wrong voices is pouring oil into the jar. Don't wait for a big step to get started. Financial breakthrough comes from being obedient in the little steps. She kept pouring, and then God kept pouring. If you don't keep pouring, you can't expect God to keep pouring. Little steps unlock big breakthroughs. And then number 6, put priorities before pleasure. 2 Kings 4:7. She went and told the man of God, and he said, go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what is left. After she filled the jars full of oil, the next step in the plan was to pay off the debt before she lived off the rest. The prophet was telling her, put priorities before pleasure. Financial breakthrough comes from putting priorities before pleasure. Priorities matter. The order in which we do things matters a lot to God. Look at Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Order matters to God. God blesses our life when we do things in the right order. Let me share with you the biblical order for our finances. Number one, give to God first. God pours out his blessings when we put him first in our finances. Supernatural things happen when we give to God first. This past week, someone in our church family sent our office their testimony. I love reading your testimonies. Please keep sending them in. This is what they shared. I had submitted a prayer request months ago regarding losing my job. Our vehicle broke down and we did not have the finances to fix it. Our car was down for 6 months because we only had one income and was paying on a car that was not running. We didn't know how we were going to pay all our bills on only one income. We had one thing after another happening in our lives, and it seemed like God was just silent. We continued to tithe and trust God for our breakthrough. After 6 months, we believed that God was teaching us to be better stewards over our finances. God came through in our finances, and we were able to pay our debt, pay tithe, and bless others in the midst. We knew that no matter what, we had to keep trusting God with what we had and believing in His word and not looking at our circumstances. We gave it to Him and began to learn what He was teaching us in this season. He is faithful, and I never doubted what He could do. He came through bigger than we could ever imagine. Come on, can we thank God for that testimony? Church family, I want to see God do this same thing for you. When you decide to put God first in your finances by tithing, and you decide to be a better steward of your finances, God will work in supernatural ways in your finances. God blesses our finances when we get the order right. So don't spend first. Get an emergency fund. Don't spend first. Pay off your debt. Don't spend first. Save for the future, retirement, kids' college. Then enjoy the rest. Eating out, new clothes, vacations, hobbies. If you get the order right by putting God first and becoming a better steward, God will bless your finances. Church, you can do this. You can experience the goodness of God in your finances. Believe it in Jesus' name.